Okay. I really do. People's worried about hearing it. I don't know about it. I told it that. There. Now he doesn't have to worry about not hearing me.
Step on the platform. Okay.
We got 5 minutes, right?
I don't know. I have to.
I think it's 10:55, Mark. Would you check your phone?
10:58.
Hey. I was going to the restrooms if I had time. But I don't have time, so I'll go.
What's your name?
No.
Lenore. What you look for? What you look for?
Hey, baby dog, love you, dumpling.
Come on, give me some.
And I knew they never gonna put my money. I know I'm gonna get that.
Oh, my trouble. Oh, why did I hear about it? I only know the name of it. She wrote it down and I made it. But I was like, oh, yeah.
Somebody from the congregation,
Somebody, I'm thinking, yeah.
was last week that you went there?
We could go like. I have to keep adding.
That's-
It was me.
Mhm. All I was knowing is it couldn't be Stephanie because she wasn't here. You weren't here last week with her and she knows all kind of stuff like that. Okay, we're in my ink pen and I got it.
Hey, you didn't see me. You didn't see me. Okay, it's 11 o'clock. Good morning. Welcome to Unity Richmond East Bay on this beautiful day. And I'm gonna call Pastor Karsten up. The opening prayer. It's not on that.
Thank you, Belinda. I mean, Linda.
Well, we get all the time of good stuff.
I don't even know.
That's the one.
As we come together, we let this laughter be at the core of our day today.
Yeah.
We take a deep breath, connecting with Mother Earth and gravity, feeling that connection as Mother Earth saying, yes, thank you for being here. And as we connect into the moment, not just with us individuals here, but all those watching us on YouTube live, or all those watching this recording later, remember that the sound of my voice can be the conduit of connecting you through your heart to humanity, to life itself, to that divine energy that we call spirit, God, source, divine intelligence. And that we are always held within that loving womb, inviting us, the world around us, inviting us to be present, to trust our presence here, that the fact that we are here, breathing, held by gravity, is an affirmation that you're supposed to be here, that you are loved, that you are guided, that you are protected. So even if there's a part of your brain that doesn't totally believe that, let's act as if. Let's open our hearts and embrace that divine energy of faith, which is the belief in things unseen, the knowing of the good that is all around us, even when the opposite seems to be appearing. We breathe it in, we trust the day, we say, thank you, thank you, thank you, Spirit, for giving us this Memorial Day weekend so that we can use it to remember all the good that is in our lives. And as we do that, we feel our vibration moving out through that divine energy of good. And we know all is well and more is coming. Amen.
Amen. This is the day, it's the day that the Lord has made, that the Lord has made. I shall rejoice, I shall rejoice, and be glad in it, and be glad in it. This is the day that the Lord has made. This is the day, this is the day that the Lord one over time. This is the day, this is the day that the Lord that the Lord. I shall rejoice, I shall rejoice, and be glad in it, and be glad in it. This is the day, this is the day, this is the day that the Lord has made. Yeah.
Thank you, Barbara and Dar, for leading us in that. And so, today's affirmation is to complain is to extend the pain. From this I will refrain. And we'll say it 3 times together. To complain is to extend the pain. From this I will refrain. To complain is to extend the pain. From this I will refrain. To complain is to extend the pain. From this I will refrain.
Amen.
Yes.
That
And we'll do the mission statement, which is on the right-hand side, which is to love, to serve, to awaken. Together. Love,
Spirit, ourselves, and the world.
serve.
The
The
beauty of the Christ is expressed through service to one another.
awaken.
We are each of us is here to awaken to our divine. We see all things are possible.
And the vision statement, which is below, we say it together.
Unity of Richmond East Bay is a loving, vibrant family that welcomes all people and accepts everyone. No exceptions. Following the path of Jesus and other spiritual teachers, we use emerging wisdom to cultivate a good walk with spirit, humankind, and ourselves.
And now, Margaret's gonna do the daily word.
Good morning.
Good Lord.
good morning.
The word for the day is comfort.
Secure in the love of the divine, I am comforted. Comfort. Taking time to remember my loved ones who have passed and envisioning them alive in God brings me comfort and the softening of the edges of my sadness. When those who care about me reach out to offer me solace, I accept it as the love of God flowing through them. When I remember the good times spent with loved ones, my heart feels lighter and a smile crosses my lips. These tender moments remind me that God is always with me, even in times of grief. I need not shrink from the pain of loss or busyness so to avoid feeling it. Instead, I lean into the comforting love of God to see me through it. This love lifts me and soothes my aching heart. The power of God within gives me strength to persevere with courage and fortitude. From the book of Isaiah 66:13, as a mother comforts her child, so I will comfort you. You should be comforted in Jerusalem. Comfort. Amen.
Amen.
Barbara dear, you're on page 89, in the garden.
Time to greet your neighbors.
Yeah. Yes. Showing on. Good to see you.
Okay, I'm just trying to get it better. I'm doing now.
Yes, we are. Sorry. Yep. No, I'm touching her, so you know that's it. Cause she gotta make sure it's okay. Here you go, see it.
It's a boy.
Hey, oh, yeah. Where? Don't worry. Okay. She can't get in there, but I couldn't go see her. My car's been out all week. Yes, I do. I guess I can get That's it. I went to line dancing. I've done watch and then line dancing. Good. Friday. I didn't even dance, but just being on it. I danced my issue.
Line dancing.
Yeah, I used to do it, but I bounced it now. So.
Mine too, that's why I have.
Yeah, yeah. I was.
All right, time to get out of here. I just want to say that I'm really happy that Margaret read the Daily Word because I don't know that I could have gotten it, but as
You need the microphone.
at least 6 of my closest family have died during Memorial Day weekend, one at a time. So it's like the perfect message and perfect time, divine time. So now we're going to read the prayer and meditation statement, which is also the middle of the page on the right-hand side. And we'll say it together. There is only one presence and one power active in my life, God the good omnipotent. There is only one presence and one power active in your life, God the good omnipotent. There is only one presence and one power active in the unity of Richmond, God the good omnipotent. There is only one presence and one power active in the world today, God the good omnipotent. Amen. And now it is time for our spiritual message from Pastor Karsten, and the title is Call It Good.
Thank you, Lenora. Thank you, Don. Thank you, Margaret. And thank you for each of you for being here. Thank you for our friends watching us via YouTube. Thank you for our visitors here again today. And thank you. What's the doggy's name?
Bo.
Thank you, Bo, for being here and breathing in the energy. Bo doesn't need to understand the words because animals just feel the vibration. And we're going to be talking a lot about vibration today. So the title of my talk today is Call It Good and Let It Happen. We get so programmed in our early life, I call it the first Saturn cycle, in being problem solvers, because we come in with this pure energy. We come in knowing that we are eternal beings, infinite in our possibilities, because that's what this earth experience is. And then we bump up against the culture and kind of where humanity has evolved to this point. And we need to be able to activate ourselves, this physical body, with a personality that can then play in the playground that's here. So we come in with this pure energy, knowing got something to share, knowing this is a creative adventure we're on. And then our parents say, no, here's what's going on. This is who you are. And these are the beliefs that are going on out here. So we program ourselves with what I call our public personality. And We get a lot of stuff from our parents. I used to like to say we get all the good and all the bad. And the bad isn't really bad. The bad is the stuff that maybe isn't consistent with what we really came in to share, but it's consistent with what we needed to learn and what we needed to grow through. And the tools we use to grow through that are compassion, acceptance, unconditional love, and an opening to what we talk about here, our spiritual connection. And what I want to share today is, this world can be confusing and overwhelming because there are so many choices. And on one level, that's a huge gift because there's so many creative possibilities in each moment, in each day for each of us. But it can be overwhelming. How do I navigate this as we move through those first 28 years trying to figure out who we need to be and what's going on out there? We get a lot of information about different beliefs, about fears, about what's not safe, about messages about ourselves. Oh, this anger that I felt when I was just trying to find my way is not acceptable here. So this part of me may not be acceptable. So when anger comes up again, it's not just a feeling, it's, oh, this is something bad in me. And we begin to muddy the waters out there of what we believe about life with a lot of good and bad, good and bad, good and bad. And ourselves the same thing. Well, this part of me is good, but this part is bad. So when we talk about our spirituality, I think the gift, at least of unity, it's simple. It's simple. One power, one presence acting in the universe and in my life, God the good, omnipotent. And it's so simple that it really confronts a lot of the way our intellect has evolved because we look at life and life does not seem simple. It seems like there's so many choices, so many options. And then we look at what's going on in here, and if we've made any decisions about certain emotions being bad, that can be a challenge too, because our emotional center is our guidance system. And it is intimately connected with our thoughts and our beliefs. So our spiritual teachings, something as simple as call it good, God the good, omnipotent, can really help. Because if we get triggered and we jump up and start reacting to this uncomfortable feeling as something's wrong and we jump into the outer fixing, we all know that we can do some fixing, but that outer fixing is like a house of cards. One wind triggers once again that uncomfortable feeling and the whole house of cards will fall apart. Has that ever happened to you? You've been in a situation, you've tried to figure it out, you've talked and spoken your truth and figured everything was better. You're feeling better, and then one little thing happens and the whole thing falls apart again. You go, why is this still happening? I thought I'd figure this out. It's because our spiritual opportunity is simple. Faith and trust. The recognition that we don't ever really know what's going to happen next. But if we believe on a core level, or if we don't even completely believe, but we're going to act as if, which is a lot what faith is about, right? You don't have to believe it completely, but if you act as if, you can move yourself into a different vibration, into a different inner experience that then sends out different energy, and the universe will always respond to what you're putting out. That's why these spiritual teachings are so simple. They're inviting us to go back to what we have dominion over, which is what's happening in here and what we're telling ourselves about what's happening out there. And the simplest way to say it is spin it in favor of who you are and a world that is positive. That also means asking yourself when there's stuff going on out there that on one level really has nothing to do with you, but because we have this global community now where we can be aware of everything else, it can pull us in, it can trigger us. And so that's the time to ask, is this my business? Is this your business or their business? Or is this God's business? Most of us, when we're triggered, we forget the God part. It's either me or you, and something has to change and be fixed. When we can bring in that divine energy of God, what does it remind us of? That we are part of God. that energy of God lives in here and it is beyond the body. I like to think of it as that energy of God that lives in here is continually, in moment by moment, allowing me to be the combination between the physical Mother Earth divine energy of nature and that consciousness that is aware that I'm here and has the ability to choose, which is our creative power. Right? And so our spiritual teachings are simple. When we can remember that, it's always coming back to that simple thing and really letting the world be the world. It's that idea of non-resistance, of acceptance. One of the challenges, and we heard it in the daily word today, is people who pass on, death, can be very scary because we know our human brain has evolved to the point that we know that at one point we're going to leave the body. Probably. I say that because we really don't know when we experience someone dying and their body is there. They've, from our point of view, left that body, but we don't know where their consciousness has gone, where their energy has gone. A lot of different spiritual traditions talk about the light body. Charles Fillmore talked about the light body, the divine energies of the vibration within the bodies. He was talking about the chakra system all the way back at the end of the 1800s. And it's interesting because I know Margaret talked to Joe Sloan this week. He's the, what's his official title?
Central Western Director.
He's the director of this area of unity. And he's a wonderful man who's been doing this for a long time. It's been a while since we've connected with him. And they had a wonderful conversation where he was really affirming where this church is. And I have to say, thank Margaret for being such a powerful part of keeping this church together and going along with others who show up regularly. But one of the things he said to her, because she shared a little bit with him about some of the stuff we're sharing here, is not just officially unity, but it's really talking about the evolving spirituality that's always going on. And Joel Sloan said, good, because that is really, as unity started, that's what they were saying. Our spirituality is evolving just as we are, and our consciousness is evolving. So with that in mind, I want to share the quote that came up for me this week that seems consistent with what I'm talking about today. This is from Abraham Hicks, who actually is channeled energy that comes through someone named, what's her? A woman channels him and has been channeling him for many, many years and has a big following. And it really is the same things we're talking about here, but from using a little bit of different words. And I invite people to look at that. The more I can step back and recognize that words and our form of communication through language, it's a symbol of something else. And if we look at religion and all the wars and death and killing that has gone over past millennia based on religion, I'll even say all religions at their core pretty much say the same things, but they say it in different words, they say it in different ways. And we human beings can get so caught up in the minutia rather than listening to what's the vibration of what's going on. And I've noticed that in my relationships, particularly when triggering stuff comes up and I get in that defensive place and want to be fighting back. If I can stop, breathe into what's going on in here, recognize, oh, I've been triggered. What is that person really saying? And not push back. It's so interesting. Someone said to me years ago that most of us don't listen. Most of us, what we think of as listening is simply waiting for our turn.
Yeah.
And I know I still do that. The gift is when I catch myself doing that, I recognize and say, no, I need to listen. I recognize that other voice comes in, but no, what I have to say is really important and I don't want to forget it.
Right.
But when I can say, yes, but what that other person is saying may take me beyond what I think I need to say. So when I can remember to stop and listen, something shifts within the communication where it stops becoming just about the words and there's a real, what I would call intimacy that opens up, not just with the other person, but with me. Do we realize that when we get defensive, when we get triggered and start to push back, our real self is not present. We've jumped into a karmic scene, is what I like to call it, where it's like me against you. I've got to be right to feel okay. It's only the ego that needs to be right to feel okay. The what I would call the spiritual self or the real self can feel even more okay when it recognizes, oh, I didn't say what I thought I needed to say, but in listening to them, something new has opened up for me. And I'm not even sure I believe that thing that I just wanted to say. Expansion and growth can happen. We get so addicted to holding our truth and saying what it is, we keep ourselves from evolving and growing. So Abraham says, the universe does not know whether the vibration you're offering is because of something you're observing, something you're remembering, or something that you are imagining. It just receives the vibration and answers it with things that match. So when we tell ourselves that death is bad, it shouldn't be happening, that I'm never going to see that person again, we go into that sadness. It can be really heavy. And I think another one of the reasons a lot of stuff comes up around death is because when someone close to us dies and leaves the body, our ego realizes, oh, that's going to happen to me too. And so it can trigger this fear that this life is, it has boundaries. It's not endless. That's not true. That is not true. That is not true. Can we remember that? And can we even expand our mind to say, and even this physical body, this expression that I'm sharing here, even when it physically leaves the body, it's not gone, because we hear again and again, those who remember us hold us in their hearts and minds. And if we talk about a lot of the spiritual teaching, as well as what the quantum scientists are telling us now, everything, consciousness is eternal, and every experience that anyone has had in this physical world is the spiritualists call it the Akashic records, where everything is held, all knowledge. The scientists call it the quantum field. So do we see that science and spirituality is now coming together in our lifetime? It's helpful for me to remember, especially when the craziness out there triggers me, to remember that I chose to come here at this time to not only experience what was going on out there, the both good and the bad, but also it invites me to choose where I want to be standing, where my vibration is within. And those of us who are sitting here today and watching through that, I want you all to trust that you are holding that divine energy, not only holding it in your physical body, but breathing it with each breath into the world. And that's why it's helpful to be conscious of, where is my vibration then? I was watching last night this new documentary about Martin Short. Does anyone know who he is? Martin Short. I mean, he's so funny and so free and so childlike. Well, the documentary for me gave me a clear indication of why he's been able to be so childlike and so free through his life. Because when he was 13 years old, his older brother, who was really his heart, he was so connected with his older brother, was killed in an accident. And of course, his parents were devastated, and he kind of went into a sense of shock. But he was surprised because it wasn't sadness, it just was kind of this numbness. He fell asleep that night and he had a dream. And he said the dream was clearer and more vibrant than anything he'd experienced in the outer world, where his brother came to him. And he held his hands and he said, I'm fine. Everything's wonderful here. Everything's okay. And I'll see you in a minute.
All right.
I get goosebumps. I get goosebumps because he was able to give that message to his brother who he loved so much. And that message, I believe, is what opened the door for Martin Short to be Martin Short. Step in and be funny and silly and just be this childlike energy that tuned into his creativity. If anyone has not had a chance to watch, what's the fat character that he does? Jiminy Glick. It's on YouTube. And you don't even recognize that it's Martin Short. And he's absolutely hysterical. And, for me, laughter is one of the most potent connections with spirit. Yeah. It just connects us and flows through us. And I will also say that tears are very similar. They, I feel, are the most uncorruptible divine expressions of that energy through us. They're healing. So it's trusting that. So the simplicity that I want to really share with you and allow you to really begin to own and practice is God, the good, omnipotent. When we say, call it good and let it happen, it helps us step back and let go of the unconscious fixer. Recognizing that the fixing energy almost always comes up when we get triggered with an uncomfortable emotion. So what do? Thank the messenger. I say this again and again. Thank the messenger, because the outside world is always communicating with you, wanting to bring you back into balance. Thank you, messenger. Thank you, person who's really triggered me, and how dare you say that, and you disrespected me, and your ego will come up with all this stuff that you've got to go there. Wow, if it's this strong, it must be an opportunity for me really to reclaim my life force. Thank you, messenger. And what's the message? Breathe into the feeling, own the feeling. My sense as I was meditating this morning, thinking of coming together with you all, I felt a potent connection between my third eye, my focusing element, which is for so much of us is always focused out there, connecting with the throat, the breath, and being willing to move into the heart and solar plexus, which is always where the feelings are, particularly uncomfortable ones. And I found that if I continually create that practice of thank you, messenger. What's the feeling? What's it telling me about myself or what's going on? What if that's not true? What if I can call it good? It allows that uncomfortable energy to begin to move. You can actually feel it moving into your heart. The breath will help it happen, because this is the other thing that happens for most of us. We get triggered, something comes up that shouldn't be happening. That's what the brain is telling us. Very often we stop breathing. We go up into our head. I'm not going to continue to breathe or be back in my body until I can figure out some sort of fixing plan for that thing out there. But what happens, it's karma. We don't allow the consciousness, the uncomfortable, unintegrated energy to integrate. It's in the integration of that unconscious energy that allows the real shift to happen. And so we come up with a plan. Sometimes we even act it out, but we haven't allowed that energy to clear. And that energy, our emotional center, is more primary and more powerful than our thinking aspect. It's right here. It's real. Our thinking aspect, our thoughts, like language, is always a symbol or an explanation of something real, something that's actually happening. So when we can go to the vibration, breathe it in, move it up, we don't need to draw situations to ourselves that trigger that energy, because it's been cleared. And here's for me the real expansive gift of it. I'm able to allow myself to be with others who are maybe having some uncomfortable energy and maybe even sometimes throwing it at me. And I don't have to take it on. It's not going to stick, because I've cleared some of that energy. Ever around people that are really mad and starts making you mad? The opposite is not even having to say anything, because sometimes saying something and getting engaged is not helpful, but just going, ooh, they're really feeling their anger. What's that like, to watch someone else feel their anger? That energy allows the other person, without even saying anything, to come into more harmony and acceptance of that anger, and real communication can take place in that situation. Because most of us, someone's really angry, we try to calm them down. Oh no, it's not that bad. We try to deny it. And those feelings need to be liberated. They're either liberated within us, which causes real growth, or we throw them out, which just is that old tennis game, tit for tat. And certainly we see it in the political world. We see it in all the wars, no matter all the stuff. And yet, if you really step back and look at the big picture, people are really getting along in the world. The majority of things are in harmony. But our news and what they want to tell us is only the negative stuff. Partly because that triggers all equal stuff and that old fight, flight. And a lot of us live in that energy, right? That discomfort. How many of you are late a lot? You always find yourself rushing to the next thing. Good. I see some hands shaking. I see some hands saying yes. Wonderful. Because that's an indication when you start allowing yourself to notice and going, oh, I'm in fight flight. What would it feel like to not be in fight flight right now? Do I really need to rush right now? And what I used to do and continue to do is I'll stop, take a breath and go, what's more important? My balance, vibration, or getting there, quote, on time? And sometimes it's, well, both of them are important. And then for me, I often remember that just stopping and taking a breath, saying, I'm moving towards where I'm going, but I'm going to stay with what's next. Because when we're rushing, very often it's, well, I've got to do this, and I've got to do this, blah, blah, blah. And then suddenly, for me, a couple of days ago, it was knocked over this huge pan with all this dirty water as I was trying to rush. The gift is when those things happen now, I stop and I laugh and I say, thank you, Spirit, for slapping me in the face and saying, you're in that fight flight space. Stop, clean up, slow down. Nobody's going to die if you stop rushing and take care of yourself. The interesting thing is, now that I've created a practice where I do that quite often, I'm not only rarely late, I'm in a much more balanced space when I'm getting ready, when I'm on my way there. And when I get there, I arrive with much better energy than, oh, sorry, I'm late. Very, very different. So it's trusting that our spiritual journey, our spiritual practice is simple. Life is complicated. And that's why our spiritual practices need to be simple. We don't want complicated stuff. It's not about having to memorize all the Psalms or, certainly study if you're called to, but recognize that those simple tools, God the good omnipotent, is this my business? Is this their business? Or is this God's business? What's going on inside me? Am I feeling a sense of balance? And if I'm not, what's going on in my head? Can I take an action that will help me feel better? Recognizing that when I feel better, the energy that I'm sharing with the world is that more positive vibration. Finally, recognizing that our imagination is our most potent and powerful connection with spirit and the way that we create our world. And that's why it's helpful to recognize that worry is using your imagination to focus and draw to yourself the things you don't want or don't like. Notice when you're worrying, notice when you're focusing on something you don't want, notice how it feels, and then ask yourself, what's the opposite? How can I take my powerful creative energy, my imagination, and focus it on the opposite? And I'll tell you, one of the most challenging ways to do it, but also one of the most effective ways of really beginning to transform your thinking and feeling aspect to create what you want, is your physical body. Because it's the most present relationship you have to the physical universe. So when the body and all of us, as we move through life, we'll have little chronic things, or sometimes not chronic, or sometimes big things. It's listening to your body, breathing into it, rather than saying something's wrong when pain comes up. Oh, this is my body calling my attention, saying that there's some healing going on here, and I can add to that healing by saying, thank you, body, for letting me know you need something. Here's the healing breath. Is there something else I need to do about this? Let me know, make it clear. Other than that, I'm just turning it over. And if and when I feel pain moving forward, any twinge, whatever, I'm going to remind myself that, oh, that's the healing. Let me breathe into it. And especially because I'm doing this a little bit for Lenora, because she's got a shoulder thing going on. Let me move a little bit and check it out. Not checking it out and going, Oh, yeah, it's still there. So check it out. It's redo, right? Oh, oh, I'm feeling so much better. Oh, no, it's still there. And so what does spirit say? Oh, you want it to be there. Okay, there it is. So going, oh no, but this is where my body's willing to move today because I'm starting to feel not pain yet, but a little bit of stuff. And then stop there, breathe into it, go body. I'm ready to see if you want to move a little bit more if I send you some loving, healing energy and relax around there rather than tighten up. It's amazing. And I've taught yoga for many, many years. It was amazing how quickly people would heal when you would allow them to move in, notice what was happening, not go, oh, it's still there, which often means, oh, and I'm still mad at myself for falling the other day. So much self-blame comes up to us. Even if it's a sickness that we didn't call in, this is something we won't wake up sick, where very often we'll go, what did I do yesterday? Oh, I shouldn't have eaten that thing, or it's good, I didn't wear a sweater yesterday. We'll find some reason to blame ourselves that this is happening now. I spoke with someone recently and I said, you don't need to go back and figure out why it's there. You need to call it healing and trust that it's happening. What is that story about? And I'll end with this, about Lot and his wife. Very potent, powerful story in the Bible. It's helpful to remember that the stories in the Bible aren't necessarily true. They're parables that are meant to teach us.
She wasn't supposed to look back.
She looked back, right? They were fleeing from something that they knew were bad. They were focused forward. She looked back, turned into a pillar of salt. Crystal. Stop looking back. Because the truth is, the past is really a fantasy. It's very often what we remember about it is not necessarily what really happened. It's, families are a great way for learning this. I'll have a completely different memory of a certain, big situation than my sister does. And so it's letting it go. If and when memories do spontaneously come up, I'll wait for you. That's okay. If and when memories do spontaneously come up, I've learned to trust that often is spirit dropping something in my plate and inviting me to feel my way through it. Because memories almost always bring up feelings. Very often you can have memories and good feelings. And that's another thing that our daily word suggested for us today, right? It talked about when you're feeling grief or sadness about someone who has left, call in the positive memories from them. Have that bring you into a positive vibration. And we can do the same thing if a memory comes up from the past that we've got old anxiety or guilt about. Oh, thank you, Spirit. This is my opportunity to breathe into the uncomfortable feeling, allow it to integrate. And then I always ask myself, what was the gift of that situation?
Right.
I don't ask the intellect. These questions are always open-ended questions. I'm asking spirit. I'm moving into a place of wonder. And that's another thing I invite people to do when something negative comes up. Call it wonderful.
What?
Because that word, wonder, if you can fill it full of wonder, you're activating it with your full imagination. And that wonder will always, always, always show you that there are gifts in those things that you regret. Your old regrets and resentments are stuck energy, stuck on some belief that's not true. It's about the ungoodness of the world. Feel it, let it integrate, and then ask yourself, what's the gifts here? And if no answer comes right away, trust that the answer will come. And that's the other thing that I want to leave you with today. Start looking, this has to do with rushing as well. Start looking at your lack consciousness around time. Because the truth is, in this time, space, playground, time is eternal. There's always enough time. And if you don't get it done in this lifetime, there's plenty of other opportunities in other dimensions in another lifetime, because we are eternal beings. Always the more, never the less. So let's take a breath. Close our eyes and go within. So I want you to focus, first of all, on your eye center. I like to start with that eye center being right where your eyes are, right there in your forehead. I like to think of the third eye. And then as I breathe into the third eye, I recognize the breath as it moves in through the nostrils, actually pulls that sense of self in the eyes down through the listening throat into the heart chakra. And then it becomes, rather than the E-Y-E center, it becomes the I center, the letter I, the me, the sense of self. The more we can allow our sense of self in the I center to be in the heart chakra, the more we're more grounded and fully present in this life experience. It helps us move out of the intellect, trying to figure out life from we've learned what's going on outside, moving us into that dynamic connection with that eternal part of us, which includes our ancestors, all those that have gone before us. It includes the breath that surrounds us, which holds, if you listen to the scientists now, that divine consciousness that is everywhere present in the world and in the universe. And it allows us to much more easily let go of our need to control and manipulate and know what's going on, not just what's happening now, but we get a lot of programming that we also need to know what's going to happen in the future. That's a fantasy. We can't know that, but we can know that when we're in that positive grounded vibration, we're much less apt to worry and then call to us those things that are consistent with worry. When we're in that positive space, life looks better, life feels better, we make better choices, and we feel ourselves being moved into more positive, expansive situations. And when we know that if we find ourselves in what feels like a restrictive, uncomfortable, unexpansive situation, that's the time to breathe within and ask ourselves what we know is true. Life is eternal. We can call this good, open it up, and then suddenly more choices begin to open up. And maybe it's just a choice of, I don't know what to do in this situation, but I'm here. Let me call it good. Let me be grateful for what's happening right now. What might be the gifts of this situation? And finally, I'm going to share that sometimes, and maybe often, the gift of an uncomfortable situation is, oh, there's a door right there. There's an exit. I can leave and go somewhere else. And even if you find yourself not able to do that, some of us have maybe at one time been locked up in jail, you can also say, oh, this is uncomfortable here. I can go into my imagination and bring myself into a better space until the physical situation changes. And of course, I think of Nelson Mandela and a number of other of our wonderful fellows and teachers who have grown and evolved amazingly in those cocoon situations. So as you breathe into your heart center, and you take a look at your life, this life you've been creating ever since that first cry when you popped out of your mom. Actually, beyond that, we're going to bring it down to this physical life. But you look at your life from this place of balance and trust. Call it good. Trust that whatever was happening, no matter what you've told yourself about life as you move through it, you were always doing the best you could with the information that you have gotten. And this moment right here, right now, is always the starting point for something more, something better. And what really allows this starting point to have the fuel and the nourishment that can really propel you forward, it helps to clear the past by calling it good. Trusting I've always done the best I could with the information I've had. And guess what? So was everybody else. Recognizing that sometimes people get very strange, different information, and recognizing that we never know what someone else's soul had in store for them when they decided to move into this physical experience, because all experience leads to growth and expansion for consciousness, for the soul energy. Notice the free and easy flow of the breath. Notice the vibration, what I would call the felt vibration or the here now physical experience. Notice the silence that now is present in the room. Recognize that that place within your heart, that open, spacious place, holds an even deeper silence, an even more expansive space. That is the truth of who you are, who we are. And the gift is that within that spacious, silent, still space, we are creating and experiencing this life with these infinite possibilities. And that perhaps the most, or one of the most divine parts of this experience is our ability to share it together with each other, to connect with other aspects of that divine creative source and grow and move and connect and laugh and cry and dance and sing and create and paint and share. Are we ready for more?
Yes.
Are we ready for this Memorial Day to help us remember on a deeper level who we are, where we come from, and that we get to choose where we're going moment by moment, not only in this outer physical experience, but in our inner world? So let us now, as we come together and complete this meditation time within, take a deep breath and do an Om together. And then Dar will lead us in the Lord's Prayer. Deep breath. Om.
Count your blessings, 153. Right. 153, count your blessings. 153. Let me know when you're ready.
Ready.
I'm waiting on Mark. I thought she was coming to me back.
Doug,
No, well,
now it's time for our blessing the tithes and offerings. And that's to remind also the people online that you'll find a little button where you can give a tithe as well.
In the notes below.
And the notes below. And the cameras.
okay.
Put your tithe in your left hand, cover it with your right, and we'll say the blessing on the right hand side of the page together.
Divine
love, rooted, blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. For by the Lord of love, I prosper right now. When? Right now.
We take in these gifts in the love that they were giving, knowing that they are blossoming this divine energy, that all is good and more is coming. And in that knowing and that space of gratitude and appreciation for all that is given, we say, thank you, God.
Thank you. It is good.
Yes, and I want to thank my friend Jacqueline and her friend Bo for being here today. It's a pleasure to have you. And um, I want to also welcome Stephanie. She's doing another fabulous watercolor class today, and there's still time for to join us. Is it next week?
We have 2 more.
We have 2 more weeks of painting. It's a
After.
high after service, and it's really fun. And Stephanie makes it easy. And I'm gonna invite Pastor Carson for the announcements.
So number one, Stephanie is here. We had a wonderful time last week, and we created some beautiful painting. What's the name of the person we're praying for?
Gail Childs.
Yale Childs, and we're gonna post her information of where she is if people would like to go visit, but if you remember, I can even speak it out now.
Yes, it's Concord. It's on Concord Boulevard. I think it's 3647 Concord Boulevard. And it's
36
Stone Ridge.
Stone Ridge, 3647
Concord
Boulevard, Stone Ridge, to visit, there. I think that's all the announcements we have. We got fellowship always after service. We got some wonderful food today. There's always food. And then I think the best thing about fellowship is the laughter, the fun, the connection. And then we're gonna be doing painting. I'm also thinking of, I'm gonna put it out, of adding a yoga class after service on a certain Sunday during the week. Because I think for getting in our body and doing that, it can be so potent and powerful because we all moving through this crazy life of ours. Our body can feel stiff and have stuff going on, and yoga helps us pull in that healing energy. So we'll do that. And with that said, any gifts that you have to share, anyone who's watching us on YouTube, there's always a place where you can leave a message for us, because I know some people aren't able to come here on Sundays because you may be living in other parts of the country, but we really want to include you. And I think that's it. I mean, that
Pray
was
for my total healing.
oh, and let's send some energy to Dar for healing the little blister he had on his hand, because he didn't want to burn his house down. He had to grab it, throw the pen in there, and held it a little bit too long. So we're sending healing energy. Let's send some healing energy to Margaret and her knees.
Yes.
Send some healing energy to our friend in the back and her stuff in her toes. And this other thing I will share, this is part of my yoga teaching that I talked about it today, is when you feel your body calling your attention, really going, oh, check this dark body. I hear you, body. I love you. I'm sending healing breath, knowing that the body knows how to heal itself.
Yeah.
And all is well. And even if the pain continues, just continue to say, I feel those growing pains, those healing pains, and I'm calling it good. And now let's sing our peace song. As we go into the world today, we know the light of God surrounds us. I am that light. The love of God enfolds us. I am that love. The power of God protects us. I am that power. The presence of God watches over us. I am that presence. Wherever we are, God is. And all is well. Praise God.